Hey y'all, welcome to SecurityTalkNow.com, a video podcast series with me, your host, Chuck Andrews. That's right, Mr. Friends of Chuck. Hey, this cool new show brings you the buzz and chatter of security around the world. We'll be discussing real world, real talk on pressing issues, practices, and important security stuff. And maybe we'll talk about things we shouldn't talk about? Who knows? Tune in and find out what it's all about. Happy trails. See you at the next upcoming show. Security Talk Now, where you'll find real talk on security each week. Hey, welcome back to Security Talk Now. I'm Chuck Andrews, your host. That's right, the hostess with the mostest, Friends of Chuck. Hey, we got a great show for you. Down under, big sharks, gators, knives, and a few shrimp on the Barbie. Scott Taylor, how are you?
Fantastic. Really happy to be speaking with you.
Hey, it's good to see you, Scott. Hey, you said that head's a little shiny. Is there anything you need to do to fix that?
Yeah, I'm a massive believer in making sure with everybody I meet that I either dress at least to their level or one above. So I would like to introduce you to the Australian Akubra. If you didn't have one of those or know of those already.
That's now I have to tell you, I do have the law enforcement version of the Akubra down in my collection downstairs, right? But it really looks good on you, and challenge accepted, right? All right, folks, you can send in your votes when you reach out to Scott Taylor on LinkedIn and let him know. Is it the Texas Friends of Chuck authentic handmade custom cowboy hat, or is it the Akubra, not to be confused with a Mustang Cobra from down under, right? All right, we'll see what the audience has to say. Hey, let's get started with the buzz and chatter of security around the world. Well, you know, Scott, that we are about real world and real talk. And that's what we're going to do today. Hey, you became a little bit famous here recently for putting out there, and by the way, congratulations, because you got to be a little brave to go write a security poem and then recite it for the entire world to hear. So I'm going to ask you to give 3 lines of that. Can you do it?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Another New Year's Eve dealing with drunk, obnoxious jerks. We'd much rather be home with our family watching the fireworks. The same sacrifice on public holidays and over Christmas too. The time away from family's tough, but it's part of what we do.
Hey, that was awesome. I bet you we're going to get a big applause before this is all over with, right? Hey, well done. Listen, if you want to hear the rest of that, you got to go and make sure you are linked in with Scott Taylor. He's easy to find. He's got a long title of experiences in risk mitigation, security, safety, specialist, security expert, and mitigation, witness. He's easy to find. I'm linked in with him as well. And watch his post. It is very inspirational. You wanted to do this because you wanted to make sure proper recognition and understanding was happening to frontline personnel. Did you see the video I put out of a young man working during the peak of COVID-19? And I was trying to give him some recognition. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
I really think that poem was made for people in his role working the front line. Am I wrong?
Definitely like a large part of it, and for my brothers and sisters globally in the security industry, I wanted to help bring some more positive energy to the industry, and I suppose share some of the elements so people have some more awareness of the intricacies of what we do. So I think it was very, very important.
Listen, down under, things are done probably a little differently, but the same. So share with us some revelations about how security works where you are, and I think you're in New South Wales, that part of Australia, correct?
That's correct, yes.
All right. I've got a few friends down there. I checked you out, Scott, make sure you were legit. Hey, so tell us a little bit about how things work there comparatively to the United States, and maybe what could we learn from each other in exchanging ideas, best practices, or technology. Okay?
Yeah, there's a couple of similarities and a couple of differences. I think that some of the things we probably do a bit differently is I think with the US security market, you've probably sold your story a bit better as an industry for with the clients. So they have more rounded awareness about the capabilities, whereas domestically, I feel here and across multiple sectors, they don't take a modern approach to security partnerships. So they're not across that integration piece of, the technology, manpower and training, or as I say, hardware, software and wetware. So that's definitely one of the first differences where I think that's something that, that we could definitely improve on here. The second piece I'd say probably would be about the that follow-up integration piece. We're still evolving as an industry here with getting the proper integration. And I think that flows through not just from the end user clients and others as well, even from the media awareness. I mean, there's been some recent examples, with obviously the COVID pandemic and others as well, where that whale watching approach, everybody has run straight to the left side of the boat. What are we doing for online safety and security? And the media goes straight to IT and tech people with the information and advice for that. They're not speaking with security professionals or security consultants about that. So that's another part as well, which I think that while there's different electronic elements and IT elements about this, at the base level, a lot of it is a people problem, can be fixed with training and others. So there's probably two of the I suppose initial points that I'd mentioned for sure.
So let's talk about technicians. Do technicians know anything about security down under?
They definitely have some awareness, and there's like with any industry, there's some good and bad. Even when I explain it to clients, I mean the big part is the simplest way I look at it is between the operational and performance spec, and the clients don't know the difference. So some of them, when they come in and say, "Oh look, here's a great camera and does this," but operationally, is that going to give you what you want in the right format, ease of use, and a range of others? And that's why I just think the communication needs to be a bit more rounded to make sure we're giving more effective solutions.
In the United States, costs are the first consideration for hardware and security, right? Even personnel. Basically, the truth is you get what you pay for. Is that true in down under?
Yeah, definitely. The across all elements of the industry, cost is definitely a key consideration, and part of those decisions are made on perception as to what they may think is good and bad, and that flows right through into the operational security as well. I mean, sadly, a lot of decisions are made purely on cost rather than towards the end point of enhancing security and safety.
Well, you know what we say to that, right? Yeah, that's exactly right. Right. So that's the reality of the situation. Accountants, chief financial officers, general counsel, HR, insurance, right? All this comes into play, and low cost in my almost 40 years continues to be number one, right? And so I assume it's no different down there, correct?
Yeah, the only additional layer I'd probably say with that, it's not just about the actual individual line item cost of guards or the technology used. It's even the other part when you're talking about security measures. So with some of the entertainment environments, giving some advice on, what would be considered practical measures commensurate with the level of threat. But if that translates to people being 60 seconds slower getting into a stadium, that's going to give them, $15,000 less revenue at the food or merchandise stand, regardless if it enhances security or not, they don't go through with that. And that's probably the concerning flow on part of that.
Yeah, but the chief experience officer, they would argue with you. Right?
Yes.
Right? Hey, listen, we're all about real world, real talk here. So we're going to be very transparent and say, look, that 60 seconds is the difference between buying an extra hot dog or beer. Right? Which translates.
And that's the sad part. We're in an industry where our performance is often ranked by how often things don't happen. So when you've got the dealing with the C-suite that look at things sometimes as a bit of a line item and that straight return on investment, That's a big part of like the gap that we have as an industry. How do we translate all of these things and the intangible benefits that we have to something that's palatable and measurable for the C-suite, for sure?
That's right. Well, we know we're going to become very important and be called into the office after the incident occurs, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, while we're talking the language of proactive, there's some sort of filter for with things that when it gets to different elements of the C-suite with various clients, they adjust some of the letters to to make it reactive, for sure.
Back in the 1980s, when I was really old, I went through some crime prevention, an 80-hour course in law enforcement as a certified crime prevention specialist. And there's things that you never forget. And one of them is the definition of what we're talking about here, being proactive. In this case, crime prevention, right? Which is still, nothing's changed. It's the anticipation, recognition, and appraisal of a crime risk and the initiation of some type of action to remove or reduce said risk. And that's always stuck with me, right? In everything that, in anything that we do or we approach through layering, right? Perimeter, exterior, interior, crime prevention through environmental design. I got to be part of that first crew in the 80s who adopted those principles and started incorporating them. And an ounce of prevention is worth a pound to cure, unless you have insurance.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and we're talking the same language there. I'm a firm believer deterrence is a state of mind, and we get the best results by expanding the security sphere of influence around like any site or area. So yeah, we're definitely aligned in our thinking there.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, listen, Scott Taylor, I'm going to give you the last word. So it's all yours.
Wonderful to speak to you. Once, obviously, like here today, and obviously, if we're sharing this, feel free for everybody to connect with me like on LinkedIn, because I always want to share information and deal with like-minded people in our industry. Like you're trying to progress what we do. You're doing a wonderful thing. So really happy to be speaking with you.
That's right. Listen, you can find Scott Taylor on LinkedIn worldwide. He's got 3 initials right after CPP, ASIS International Member Gold Standard. That's right. LinkedIn with Scott and LinkedIn with me here at Security Talk Now. We want to network with you. Scott, it's great to have you. Thank you for coming on the show. And folks, we'll see you at the next Security Talk Now, where we talk real world about what's going on in security.